Lauren was shooting some three-pointers just now. Is that something you want to see from her?
Well, I think I just think it's not a matter of three-pointers. We want her to continue to add to her range and her versatility, not only for the short term, but also for her long term. She's shooting a great percentage from 17 feet. We actually had one of our, I thought, turning points of the game. They were really trying to bully ball her down low, and we had a great drive with E, and she kicked it back to the 17-footer in the game against South Carolina and hit it. So I don't know if we're trying to get her to shoot threes in the game right now, but we want her to be a confident 17-foot shooter.
You mentioned it was her best neutral thinking game on Sunday.
Yeah.
What other areas are you looking for her to make some strides in?
Well, I think, obviously anyone watching it, just continuing to, have her base and keep the ball high versus all of the double, triple, quadruple teaming she's seeing. She's got to continue to really work her left hand a little bit more. But she's made huge strides in that. But I definitely think that, that she brought it down a little bit more. And so we've been really focusing on trying to get that ball up.
I know you think I don't really care about the rankings.
Yeah.
You are number one. That'll be somewhat fun, right? What's been kind of the best part, most fun so far?
Well, I honestly, Doug Feinberg, a traditional great AP writer, said to me, I don't know if you know this, Cori, but of the 40 years that they've been doing an AP poll, with all the weeks in those 40 years, there have only been 26 teams that have been named in that group. And I think it speaks to two things. One is the parity of our game is just getting better. And secondly, it's a chance to say thank you to our alumni and to the people that came before us, that we stand on their shoulders. And to put UCLA as one of those 26, we don't do that alone. We do that on the shoulders of others, and it's a chance to say thank you to them.
Have you heard from anybody, anything that's been meaningful since the game?
Yeah, so many, honestly. I've heard from, that's probably been one of my favorite parts, is to share in it with other people. Annie Myers, Drysdale, sent me such an amazing text, but if I start going to naming names, I'm going to leave people out, but that has been really meaningful, is to have the pride of our alumni and our community. I've heard from professors, I've heard from chancellors, I've heard from former coaches here, and this is not something you do alone. It takes a village, and to share it with the village is really great, but it is just that, other than how it moves you forward. So I started out with, hey, what did this teach you? What kind of confidence did it earn you? And what are you willing to do moving forward? So it really only means something if it spurs on further growth and more consistency. And so from that point, I want to be humble and thankful for this milestone, but I want to be really frank about that it's November 24th when that game happened.
When you went and looked at the film, obviously it was a dominant win, but what did you see that you like, okay, we have to work on this?
Yeah. Defensive rebounding, transition defense, communicating, off-ball rotations. I mean, that's a good news, bad news, right? Gabriella Hawk has said, it makes me so excited that we were able to play at such a high level, and we have so much more we need to grow in. And so as much as, and I also really want to take just a second to say what a class act Dawn Staley was. A lot of people would not have reacted and given us credit the way she did, recognized the growth in other players, and that's why she's a champion. And I do want to acknowledge how classy she was with that game. But we have a lot of room to grow. We still turned it over 16 times. We want to get that number under 12. We've got to control. We're number one in the nation in offensive rebounding, but we're only in the 74th percentile in defensive rebounding. With our size and our depth, it should not be that way. So we got a lot still to work on.
How did you find out about the number one ranking?
Doug Feinberg texted me on Monday morning and told me that way.
What was your reaction?
I really hoped it wouldn't happen, but Tony said something, Coach Tony said something that I thought was really interesting, and I think he's right. I really felt no different because we already saw ourselves as a number one team, and with championship habits and commitments and aspirations, it's just other people got to see it. And I think that's why we performed that way, is that we already saw ourselves in that light. And so it didn't matter what other people said or what number was attached. We view ourselves in that kind of company.
Have you sensed the hunger and drive from your players since that game that you want?
Yeah, it's interesting. I showed up on, we had an off day Monday, and I showed up at 6:40 on Tuesday morning, and there were 9 players in here getting work in at 6:40 in the morning. That told me what I needed to know about where their vision really is and where their aspirations lie.
Some personnel updates. What's Zania's status at this point?
She's getting better every day. She's, we're working her into now full speed things, but just not contact yet. So as she hits every milestone, we're trying to get her back out there. But obviously want to be safety first on those kinds of things for sure, on all things. But so I hope that she's progressing really well, but not progressed into full contact yet.
And then Amanda Muse, is the plan right now for her to redshirt?
Yeah, it's looking that way. So she's been phenomenal, and we're sort of taking that one game at a time right now, but it's looking that direction.
And Charlisse's timeline?
Yeah, I think we'll have to make some decisions here coming up, but she's just right now. We expected that it was probably not going to be before the first of the year, so she's progressing really well. Really a shout out to our assistant coaches and our medical staff. The way her shot has improved, the way her handle has improved, the way she's progressing physically, they've just done a heck of a job with her. So I'm not sure about the timeline though yet.
What are you looking for from the trip to Hawaii other than wins, obviously?
Well, I think really the answer to every question is get better. I want us to improve. I want us to have more consistency, more discipline, better habits. I want us to now learn. We're going to have 3 games in 3 days. We had 5 practice days leading into South Carolina. Can we prepare with the same urgency, attention to detail mentally? I'm looking to see who can do that, who can process a scouting report and with one hotel walkthrough be ready to play. But my biggest things are defensive rebounding, off-ball rotations, and having us really just take care of the ball.
What stood out to you about what Alina's been able to provide so far?
You don't have enough time. I think we knew that she was really, really good, but you never know how a freshman is going to transition with the pressure, with the increased athleticism. She had an incredible advantage that she played at the highest levels in Europe as an amateur last year, professionally in the professional leagues, and so I think there is a poise about her that few freshmen have. But her feel and understanding of what is required. And she's way more athletic than I thought. I mean, I have a picture. She's like 3 inches from the rim on one of her takes, and just a tremendous thing. But she has some things that are really hard to teach. Yep. Feel, IQ, understanding of the moment, when you need to be a distributor, when you need to be an attacker. Those are really difficult things to teach, and she really has a command that's fun to watch, and I think people are sort of captivated by that. But a real challenge to her is I want her to play with the same aggression and confidence on defense that she does on offense, and that's where I'm really challenging her right now. But there's no doubt about what she can become in this program.
Does that same sort of feel translate on the defensive end as well?
Well, let's see. That's my challenge to her, quite frankly, is that with how smart you are and how athletic you are, I'd sure like to see more of that applied on defense. So, I have so much. I'm thrilled and so confident in her. But right now, I'm probably challenging her as much as anyone on the team.
I know you like to work in some like service trip type things, educational things. Is there anything you have in mind?
Yeah,
for this
we are.
trip?
We're spending time with a community of kids that are from really tough backgrounds on Thanksgiving Day. We're going to go there that morning, and we actually decided we wanted to use our practice days here, and we think with our scout guys it's actually more effective for us. And then we're actually not practicing tomorrow, and we're prioritizing serving others and being thankful and enjoying Hawaii and being ready to put our business hats and hard hats on Friday for the game. Okay. All right.
so much.
Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.